Elijah was 8 when the world showed him how worthless a black life could be. The midday sun scorched the dry earth as his mother's scream tore through the sky. She had stepped in front of a boy to shield him, proud, fearless, like a mother should be. The overseer didn't hesitate. The shot didn't hit Elijah, but it killed what was innocent in him. His mother fell, not into the ground, but into Elijah's soul. He sealed that day in a frame of silence. More than the gunshot, it was the quiet afterward that carved the first mark of fury in him. He didn't cry. As the soil drank his mother's blood, Elijah absorbed the silence. That day, a child died, and something darker was born, fed not by laughter, but by memory. The other slaves buried her beneath the oaks at the edge of the fields. Elijah dug the grave with his own hands. Though his skin was muddy, his mind was sharp. He swore he would not forget. He took her old scarf, the one she always wore. From that day forward, it never left his pocket. In its worn threads lived her voice, her warmth, her final gaze. Elijah grew up in silence. After she was gone, words became pointless. He became the kind of slave the master liked, silent, useful, forgettable. But Elijah was none of those things. He was a shadow tucked beneath skin, watching, memorizing, surviving. He studied every creak of wood, every drunk guard's stumble, every dog's sleep cycle. He wasn't just living, he was preparing. At 17, he was brought into the house. Everyone called it a reward. Elijah called it strategy. As he swept floors and cleaned hearths, his eyes wandered to the knife by the window, the poker near the fire. Every detail was a brick in the house of revenge he was slowly building. The master was growing old, his memory blurred, his sense of justice was never clear to begin with. Sometimes he called Elijah Nathan, the name of a slave who died long ago. Elijah didn't correct him. There was no Nathan in his mind, only the echo of his mother's name. At night, lying on a thin blanket in the pantry, Elijah no longer dreamed. Dreams were for the free. He lived in memories. The gunshot, the blank stare on the master's face, the hush over the fields. He whispered his mother's name, not to remember, but to never forget. Over time, he gained the master's trust. He was tasked with counting grain, delivering letters to town. Elijah never failed. Behind every nod of obedience, he spun his web tighter. He wasn't rushing. This wasn't a fire. It was a tunnel, carved silently beneath a plantation built on screams. One night, Thomas, the master's spoiled son, stumbled into the barn, drunk and careless, swinging a lantern over dry hay. Fire bloomed in seconds. Elijah dove into the flames with bare hands, dragging out animals, coughing smoke, his palms scorched. By morning, the master handed him a silver coin and said, "You're the most loyal nigger I've ever had." Elijah smiled, but his heart burned, not from the flames, but from the lies. He wrapped the coin in his mother's scarf and hid it beneath the floorboards. Every time he saw it, his resolve deepened. The master's praise meant less than ash. That coin was not money. It was proof that silence had a cost. And Elijah knew the wait was almost over. The rain was soft, almost sympathetic. That night, it was as if the sky itself had chosen a side. Not too heavy, not too light, just enough to soften the sound of steps. Elijah moved through the house like a shadow. In one hand, his mother's scarf. in the other the silver coin. Every step was silent, but inside him, voices screamed with the weight of years. He stood for a full minute in the master's bedroom. The old man snored, helpless, unaware. Elijah approached the bed, placing the scarf gently on his chest. His eyes locked on the man's weathered face. "Do you remember her?" he whispered. No response. But Elijah hadn't come for answers. He had come for an ending. "You took everything from me," Elijah said. "Tonight, I take the same from you." He pressed the pillow down over the man's face. The struggle was brief. This wasn't murder. It was balance. When the body stilled, Elijah lifted the pillow, placed the coin atop the scarf like a marker. Justice wrapped in cloth. He buried the body beneath the library floorboards. That room, the same place where the master once recited verses about God and justice to white guests, now held truth beneath its feet. As he nailed the board shut, Elijah felt lighter, not because it was over, but because he had finally handed the burden back. He didn't run. He sat by the fireplace, waiting, not to face justice, but to taste freedom. At sunrise, the others found him sitting calmly, hands folded, eyes distant. He didn't speak. They didn't ask. They understood. That morning, more than a man had died. A curse had ended. Elijah was questioned. He admitted everything, never said a word. Guards shouted, threatened. But Elijah was watching the wind. He wasn't there anymore. His body would hang, but his spirit had already slipped the chain. As they walked him to the gallows, he didn't look back, not at the sky, but at the earth. The same earth that held his mother. He smiled. His body would swing, yes, but his cause would stand tall. His story would never be written in books. It would float on whispers, carried by wind and memory. That day, Elijah died. But for the first time, he existed. He was no longer just a slave. He was a name, a voice, a mark. No master could erase him. He breathed not with vengeance, but with honor. And honor cannot be chained. Some say revenge is fire. It burns and destroys. Others call it poison. It rots the soul. But to Elijah, revenge was soil, the rain on his mother's grave, the blood mixed with mud, the silence that grew roots. Every slave who stepped on that ground would carry his story. The scarf was never found, but they say that on some nights a sweet scent moves across the fields, the scent of a mother's perfume of grief echoing through time. And a shadow walks beneath the moonlight. Because Elijah was never just a man, he was a legacy, and the ashes beneath his feet still speak his name.